We've got 1,100 people at the Star Tribune. I don't think shell shock is too strong a word. We've been shell shocked by the experiences of what's happened in this newspaper industry that we thought was a monopoly for a long time. That shell shock has woken us up. Thank God the owners and the managers that came before our current group did nothing to dismantle the journalistic capability of the Star Tribune. When I travel around the country, I see other newspapers really suffering. They've become shells of their former self. And when they do that, from a business perspective as well as a community perspective, they fail. Because in the long run, you and other consumers have the choice of where you're going to take your news. You have your choice of when you're going to take it. And in the long run, regardless of the quality of the technology, we will win or lose, like you do, on the quality of our product and service. You're going to see the Star Tribune continue to invest in the technology and the journalism and the economics of our business. Now, earlier, Kate suggested that I leave a few minutes this morning to see if there are any questions in the group. If there are tough questions, I've got Jason Erdahl, the head of our digital business here, to answer for me. Are there any questions that anybody would like answered about where the Star Tribune is today or where we think we're going in the future? Anybody? I'm sorry, I can't see very well. Yes?
Please come on up to the microphones. That would be great. There are microphones on both sides.
Well, Mike, first of all, I want to compliment you. Changing a culture within an institution like the Star Tribune is a massive undertaking. You're right on as far as the relevancy. The one thing that I see missing from your plan is that with the onset of Web 2.0, the big attraction is the two-way communication versus the broadcast. What are you planning to do to build that community with more interaction?
Well, thank you for that. It's not missing from our plan as much as it's missing from what I just talked about. We have two-way communication now. We have stories where the comment boards at the Star Tribune light up. We've had stories where 6,000 people commented on a story. Now, there's a rumor that young people aren't reading the Star Tribune or any other newspaper anymore. I can tell you that's wrong because I look at the rude nature of some of these comments. And only people that haven't achieved a certain level of maturity could be writing that way. I know, I used to be a young person. It's actually an interesting thing. There's a big debate going on within the Star Tribune right now. What do we do about comments? Right now, people are invited to comment anonymously, and they do often. But sometimes they do it in a way that doesn't contribute to the civil discourse. We suspect that people will say things anonymously that they wouldn't say if their own name was attached to it. We don't want to cut off the debate, but we do want to cut off the incivility that sometimes we see. So we have constant conversation. You're going to see more. You're going to see physical events in the real world, not just the digital world, hosted by the Star Tribune to engage our readers on particular subjects. I talked about the governor's race at the beginning of my remarks. You may see us convening groups of people, inviting them to come in, not just as focus groups so that we can report it, but so that people can engage with each other. The nature of the newspaper should be to be the town square. It should be where you go to get the information that's important to you, the news that's relevant, to have a conversation, to find a retail partner that you want to do commerce with. Think of the Star Tribune as the town square, and that very much involves the engagement of our customers with us. And in fact, not just with us as an institution, but with our reporters and our editorial writers directly. Another question? Yep.
There's another model that's evolving, or at least being experimented with now in the media area, which is the nonprofit model, specifically MinPost, which is made up of a lot of former Star Tribune folks, which really does provide some great content. I'd appreciate your commenting about whether nonprofit models might have a niche in the future of the media economy.
Well, thank you for that. I'm a fan of MinPost. I read it every day. But I will tell you this, and well, MinRoast, which is their big fundraiser next week, I'm planning on attending. I bought my tickets because I bet you it'll be fun. There's some fun, interesting, smart people at MinPost, and I want to hear what they say, and I want to read what they write. That's one of many news sites, news organizations, ProPublica, any number of things that I'm continuing to read. But I'll tell you this, MinPost can't be MinPost unless the Star Tribune is the Star Tribune. Not even Joel Kramer, who's become a friend and a guy I admire, former editor and publisher of the Star Tribune, who's the creator of MinPost. Not even Joel suggested MinPost could replace the Star Tribune. It's additive to what we do. MinPost comments, in many cases, on what we write. And I think that's a worthy surface. And I hope they continue. I don't think there is a not-for-profit model that can sustain the large-scale commitment to news that the Star Tribune has. I don't know that there's a not-for-profit model that says 250 people in the newsroom can be sustained by not-for-profit models. We haven't seen it yet. Some discussion in San Francisco going on about whether that can be done, but the first thing they did in San Francisco was say that their journalists would be students from Cal Berkeley. Cal Berkeley's a great school, and we'd like to hire some people from Cal Berkeley. But we also want to give them 20 years of training. The not-for-profit model, I don't think is sustainable. The corollary to that is whether or not there's an opportunity for government to fund it. I don't think it's necessary. Even after the deluge, Star Tribune is profitable and financially strong. I think most newspapers are going to come out the other side of this, nowhere near as profitable as they were, but profitable enough to be stable and sustainable and to fulfill their journalistic mission. Is there anything else? We have time for one more question, I'm told.
You used the word portal to describe your vision for the future. That implies linkages to content that you don't generate. Could you talk a little more about that?
Yes, I'm happy to. I mentioned TST Media and their commitment to the Youth Hockey Associations. We would expect that people will be able to access TST's considerable information and database through us. But we'd be in discussions with people like the Daily Planet and edemocracy.org. We want to make truly local, neighborhood-oriented journalism available to our readers as well. So there'll be other forms of news and other information that you can use that you wouldn't traditionally think of that way. We may end up hosting websites for some of the municipalities in the community because it's easier for us to do it with our commitment to technology than it is for them. And it would be a service to the community if we were to do it. So those are the things we're in discussions around right now, exactly what we'll provide and in what time we'll layer it all in. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time today.